A Taliban prison attack in Pakistan frees nearly 250 inmates, some described as hardcore militants. Hello, I'm Mishal Husain. Here's why a breathtaking jailbreak is our top story on Impact. As many as 30 militant leaders are reported to be among those who escaped after the walls of this prison were breached. Also, a BBC interview with the EU's top diplomat after she manages to visit Egypt's deposed president. She says she's there to get all sides talking again.
Because I believe at this point it's hard for them to actually talk with each other. But our purpose is to simply help lay the ground for those conversations to take place, because that's what needs to happen.
And how old is too old to run for office? In Zimbabwe, 89-year-old Robert Mugabe is seeking another term as president. We look ahead to tomorrow's vote. Welcome. Some of Pakistan's most wanted militants are probably beyond the reach of federal law by now, most likely in the country's tribal areas, after being freed in a Taliban attack on a prison. The jailbreak came after a 4-hour assault on the prison in northwest Pakistan. Some of the attackers were disguised as police. Here's our World Affairs correspondent, James Robbins.
This was a major assault, but the prison's defences proved to be completely inadequate. Dozens of Taliban militants apparently came in a convoy. The Pakistani Taliban say they sent 100 fighters to free some of their top leaders. They were armed with rocket-propelled grenades and explosives. Some were dressed in police uniform. The attack was launched with a huge explosion. Locals say it rattled every house in the neighbourhood. The militants knocked out power supplies before blowing open the walls of the prison and storming into the jail, where officials say they used a loud hailer to call for some prisoners by name. Both the Taliban and the Pakistani authorities say around 250 prisoners escaped, including some 30 militant leaders.
All that they're going to do is they will turn tail and head a few miles up the road to the tribal area where the writ of the state does not run. So there's a safe refuge available to the militants, only a few minutes away from Dar es Salaam.
Pakistani authorities are reported to have received intelligence about an impending attack 2 weeks ago. A prison official said they didn't expect it to come so soon. It all adds to embarrassment for Pakistan's government as scores of people across the country post messages via social media expressing disbelief and anger. An inquiry has been promised, but after a similar successful Taliban attack on another prison last year, many are demanding to know how the militants were able to do the same thing all over again. James Robbins, BBC News.
Well, the events in Pakistan are striking in themselves, but also because this is the third major jailbreak that we have reported in less than a fortnight. More than 1,700 inmates in all are now on the run. On the 21st of July in Iraq, more than 500 prisoners, including senior members of Al-Qaeda, fled from the Abu Ghraib jail west of Baghdad. 6 days later in Libya, 1,000 prisoners escaped from the Al-Quaifiyah prison in Benghazi. The jailbreak came on the same day that protesters stormed political party offices across the country. And now, in Pakistan, more than 240 prisoners freed from that jail in the northwestern town of Dera Ismail Khan after an assault by Taliban militants. Well, with me now is Barak, who's an Associate Middle East Fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. It is very striking that we've seen similar attacks take place in a short period of time. Is one inspiring the other, do you think?
I think this is a seamless threat. There's now an increasing recruiting pool of willing Al-Qaeda terrorists that are entering their affiliates simply because of what's going on in Syria. As you've got a combination of events that are leading to this, for example, you have the United States winding down troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. They've wanted to lead behind in Syria, i.e. do nothing, which has heightened tensions between Sunni and Shia. In that vacuum of governance has been a recruiting pool where radical Sunnis have been flocking to Syria, spilling over into Iraq, spilling over into Jordan, and also spilling over into Pakistan. So a hands-off approach and not being interventionist can
so you really
actually
think some of the
heighten
same people are going
tensions.
from the Middle East all the way to the Pakistani Taliban?
I think there's the whole region is in flux. And as a result of that, for example, even the attack on Abu Ghraib prison was deemed a Shia prison, not an American prison where radicals were being held, but a Shia prison. So this is also undermining Petraeus' successful counterinsurgency strategy, because now you're going to have increased sectarianism in Iraq with heightened tensions.
I appreciate what you're saying about Iraq, but surely the sectarianism is not part of what's going on in Libya. I mean, that's a pretty homogenous society.
But with al-Qaeda affiliates that are in communication with one another, they're going to be offering logistical support and going to become more emboldened and brazened, irrespective of the cause. Just last year, the White House was celebrating having, to a tremendous degree, eroded the core of al-Qaeda, but they were warned at the same time that the affiliates could eclipse the core, and that's what we're seeing across the Middle East and North Africa. Ranging into Pakistan, you're seeing al-Qaeda
succeed further. But they wouldn't be able to do that if there was a strong enough security apparatus in each of these states. What's very striking is that with relative ease, I mean, the assault in Pakistan was 4 hours long, so they didn't get away with it that easily. But essentially, huge numbers of prisoners have been able to be freed in a matter of hours in each of these countries.
Well, the infrastructure and governance in all these countries have either been traditionally weak or severely eroded in the past couple of years. This is just a shopping spree now for terrorist affiliates around the region, and with a lack of interventionism on the part of the West, that's only going to heighten.
Barak, thanks very much for joining us from the Royal United Services Institute.
Thank you.